This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Good afternoon, Carl Defmal with you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. It is Tuesday, September 16th here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It's been a minute since I've been on Wild, as we like to call it, here at Fox 6 and on Fox Local. So great to be back. We have a lot for you, just to say that, over the next hour or so. A lot of things happening all at once that we will try to bring you with our different reporters and photographers around the area today. But first and foremost, we have my co-host, so to speak, my partner in the booth. This is the first time I've gotten to use this. Delaney, what is going on? It's great to see you there.
Hey, Carl. I know it's exciting to have a camera back here now.
There was this voiceless or faceless voice for so long. It's nice to actually introduce you to folks. I know it's become a bigger part of the show here, so nice to see. All right, Delaney, we've got a lot to get to. I'm going to try to run through a few of the different things we have before we start out with our reporter, Christina Van Zels, on a serious and kind of scary story today. First and foremost, we have photographers around the area. This is a police presence that we're not quite sure a lot of information about at this point. Our photojournalist just got to the scene. Delaney, part of her job as producer of the show, she's reached out to our assignment desk as well as our web editor trying to get some information on what exactly we're watching here because, again, our photographer just showed up to that scene. So as you can see, red tape, that's concerning certainly if you've been out to those crime scenes before, and then the number of police vehicles and investigators here. So we'll try to get a little bit more information on this for you over the course of the next hour or so here on Wild. We are also checking in on an event, a luncheon happening right now that another one of our photojournalists is at this moment. Actually, Delaney, why don't I pull up some information on this because you were very kind and sent it to me earlier. But so this is our photojournalist dealing with the housing crisis in Milwaukee. So he is at an event today addressing the Milwaukee housing crisis, hosted by the Community Development Alliance, an annual conference protecting aging neighbors from displacement. And this event is at Gather at the Deer District, so downtown Milwaukee, with a number of different speakers expected throughout the day today, all in an attempt to bring Milwaukee folks together, both leaders, philanthropy partners, and community members, to address and come up with strategies on how to make homeownership possible and quality homeownership affordable and achievable for residents in Milwaukee, especially Black and Latino residents. This year's focus, how to create much needed affordability and homeownership opportunities while protecting senior citizens in particular from getting kicked out of their homes. So a number of different speakers were scheduled throughout the day today, a long event including the Milwaukee Mayor, Cavalier Johnson, the County Executive, David Crowley, other county supervisors, state reps, and legislators, and much more. So we'll try to listen in to a little bit of that as it gets going. The other thing happening nationally that we'll certainly try to dip into today, that would be the FBI director you're looking at right now, Kash Patel, who has been in the middle of some heated exchanges on Capitol Hill today as he continues testimony in front of a series of congressional hearings today. Some of the most loud and back and forth testimony so far came between the director, Kash Patel, and Senator Cory Booker, a Democrat from New Jersey who got into a shouting match at one point during the appearance before the Senate Judiciary Committee, with Booker, the Democratic senator from New Jersey, accusing the FBI director of being responsible for a generational destruction of the nation's premier law enforcement agency. And the FBI director followed back. Again, this turned out to be a shouting match, telling Booker that he was an embarrassment. And for a while, the chairman of the committee, a Republican Senator Chuck Grassley, pounded the gavel but struggled to gain back control of the hearing, especially because of the tensions rising between those two, Senator Cory Booker and FBI Director Kash Patel. And all of this comes while we are also waiting something else that I'll just pop up here because of our different feeds that we have. That is a press conference that we are expecting out of Utah today. Charges expected against the man accused of shooting and killing Charlie Kirk, the conservative and controversial activist who was shot and killed on the campus of Utah Valley University last week. Charges against a 22-year-old Tyler Robinson expected to come ahead of his first court hearing today, and we're supposed to hear from the Utah County Attorney General ahead of those charges. So all of those different feeds ready to go for you, and we'll try to get you some more information on the local happenings around the area today, including what is becoming our top story of the day. So let's get right to it. This is with our reporter Christina Van Zelst, who joins us now live from a storage facility. Christina, this came through as breaking news on our 11 o'clock newscast. We had you on Fox 6 News at 11. As a parent, certainly as anyone hearing some of the details, it sounds absolutely awful. The number of children found locked in a storage facility. So take it away from there. What do we know? And I know you've been working your way around the neighborhood since then.
Yeah, so you mentioned those children. We know from Milwaukee police that 6 kids, including a 2-month-old, were found in a storage unit here at the Store Safe location. This is on the north side of Milwaukee, and we can't see where the investigation is from where we're standing, but want to kind of give you an idea. We have seen forensics teams come in and out all morning, but the investigation from a different vantage point is actually behind this building at one of those storage units where that forensic team was parked. We saw them carrying items out of one of those units earlier today, and again, they've been in and out as this is still an active and ongoing investigation. But we know that a 2-month-old baby and 5 kids ages 2, 3, 5, 7, and 9 were found, and police are calling this a child abuse and neglect incident. They do say no injuries reported. And how did they find these kids? That's one of the questions we're still wondering today, is who reported this. But Milwaukee police say they were called around 1:30 this morning for reports of kids being locked in a storage unit. And when they opened that unit, officers found those 6 kids. Carl, we also know that a 26-year-old woman and a 33-year-old man are in custody. And one thing that really stood out to me as we're in this neighborhood following up on this is a woman came to the scene emotional and in tears. She said this just broke her heart. She feels like we as a community have failed these kids. She said she had to come be here for herself and just really was emotional over this entire thing. Obviously, we still don't know the circumstances in terms of what they were found in and what who the people are arrested. But another woman who lives close by said that she's seen these kids 2 weeks ago riding bikes inside the parking lot. So some people have seen these kids in the neighborhood, but that one woman who came here and just was crying really was heartbroken over hearing this news this morning. And hopefully we'll be able to figure out, as this investigation continues, any updates for the 2 people who were arrested and how those children are doing.
Yeah, Christina, a lot of questions, and we haven't gotten much from investigators yet. As you said, the forensics team's still out there. So far, we don't know the relationship of the 2 people arrested, either to themselves or to the children. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, we still don't know. We did ask police and what their living situation was as well. Police got back to me and said they're not releasing any of that information at this time. So we know formal charges are pending. If and when those charges are filed, maybe we will get more information as to what their relationship is. And to follow up on that, we did go inside the office here to see if anybody would want to tell us anything from their perspective, and they said no comment. So we reached out to their national office to see if we could get any information from there. And of course, haven't heard back, but we will keep you updated if we do, just on what they were renting and who these people might be.
Yeah, certainly asking the questions. We'll see what kind of answers we can get. Just since you spoke to that one neighbor again, just to clarify, so that person said that they have seen those children or seen children of some kind actually inside what is like the gates of that storage facility. Is that right? Like almost playing or riding bikes around?
Yeah. Yeah, so here I'll show you what she's talking about. This is actually, we talked to 2 people. This was another woman. She didn't want to be on camera, but she said she saw kids. So it's a gated lot, and she said she's seen kids riding their bikes in this lot where people park their cars and trucks here. So she said when she saw that, something felt off. She also said that she's seen people who matched the description of the people who were arrested walking around here with several children. But she just said something in her gut didn't feel right, but she wasn't sure what that was, and that was 2 weeks ago. Another question we're still hoping to get answered is how long these kids were in the storage unit. That's something we don't know at this time. Police are not releasing those details, but she did say it's something just didn't feel right when she saw them riding their bikes in the slot.
Yeah, perhaps the one like kind of sliver of good news to come out of this is that police did say no injuries, right? At least the health of the children in terms of immediate injuries is not in question, at least for now, right?
Correct. Yes,
yeah.
That is The overall positive news from this is no injuries were reported for those kids.
All right, well, as you can hear, a lot that we don't know at this point, although Christina is hard at work with her photographer out there on the scene for us. We'll let you get back to it, Christina. Thank you so much for joining us here on the live desk. Certainly got a lot of our attentions here in the newsroom when that release from police came through, and you're trying to find some of those answers for us. So thank you. We'll check in later if there's any more updates to your reporting. Thanks.
Sounds good. Thanks, Carl.
All right, while she continues that work, we will get to some of the other news of the day. But again, just a recap, and we do have a graphic I'll pop up here for you. As you heard in Christina's report right there, just about 1:30 this morning, just after, is when police first responded to this, reports of children locked inside of a storage unit. And again, this is near 27th and Silver Spring. The ages of those children, quite alarming, as young as 2 months old, a baby, as well as a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 5-year-old, 7-year-old, and 9-year-old. So 6 children, all under the age of 10, including just a 2-month-old infant found locked in that storage unit. Police have a 26-year-old woman and a 33-year-old man in custody. A little bit of good news, no injuries reported when it comes to those 6 children inside of the storage unit. So much more for Christina and our team to figure out here for you on this Tuesday afternoon, but certainly a bit of an alarming story there coming out of the north side of Milwaukee. And excuse me, I just popped up the wrong graphic. So there you go. Like I said, it's been a minute since I've been out here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. All right, we're going to check in on a couple other things happening for you right now after this short break, actually, because we've got a lot going on. Want to make sure we have all our ducks in a row, so to speak, and we'll get back with you on the Wisconsin Live Desk after this short 2-minute break. Thanks for watching on Fox Local and the Fox 6 Milwaukee YouTube channel.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey, welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. Carl Deffenbaugh back with you here on this Tuesday afternoon. It is 12:43, bringing you a number of other local stories from here in the Milwaukee area affecting southeastern Wisconsin over the next hour or two. But first of all, we want to get you kind of a roundup of what else we're watching at this moment and then what else we can bring you throughout the live desk. So first and foremost, we mentioned this effort to bring more affordable, attainable housing for Milwaukee seniors. This is an event that has been going on throughout the day today and continues now at this moment. We saw one of the speakers at the very beginning of the live desk up there on the podium. From our photographer inside, apparently they've now broken out into these kind of small groups that you're seeing. So different people at different tables trying to come up with ideas, with solutions, all put on by the Community Development Alliance, which is holding its annual conference today in the Deer District at Gather, right there opposite Fiserv Forum. The conference is called Protecting Aging Neighbors from Displacement, and the event aims to bring together a number of different community groups and leaders and more, leaders of philanthropy in the city, as well as housing practitioners, public officials, with both the mayor and the county exec expected to speak throughout the day today. And the focus in general is how to make quality homeownership available and attainable for Black and Latino residents in Milwaukee, but this year's conference really focused on protecting senior citizens in particular from being displaced from their homes. So it's a full day. They started at 8:30 this morning, runs until about 2 o'clock, so they're in the final stretch here. But it's a full day where it's meant to be an interactive day centered on the community and centered on solutions. So there have been a number of different people sharing their stories throughout the day. I mentioned some of the leaders that spoke as well. Now they're in this small group session trying to work through some of the options and some of the ways that people could help solve what is certainly a problem here in Milwaukee. Some of the numbers for you, they're quite notable. In Milwaukee County, there are 20,000 aging homeowners vulnerable to displacement, 200,000 aging homeowners vulnerable statewide. So this isn't just a Milwaukee issue. This is a Wisconsin issue and a national one at that. Wisconsin, though, they say is unique in that it does not provide property tax relief for aging neighbors. So some of the things the group is aiming to work on today, and again, that's the Community Development Alliance hosting this, trying to understand the extent of the issue of displacement for aging neighbors throughout the state and specifically here in Milwaukee, how Wisconsin property taxes can affect and impact seniors as their incomes change over the years, and what other states have done to resolve this issue as well. So they're trying to provide some direction on future policy changes, what they could recommend, as well as build some of the momentum for change here in the city of Milwaukee as well. So quite an interesting, quite an important event taking place today. Again, this is at Gather in the Deer District, bringing together a number of different community partners and people speaking to a quite serious issue. Again, that number in Milwaukee County, 20,000 aging homeowners vulnerable to displacement. So we'll see what comes out of it. Interesting to see what some of the solutions could be today, while we keep our eyes on other things happening around the area and around the country as well. And one of those that we are certainly going to bring you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk as soon as it starts. Let me get this camera feed for you right here. This is the 4th Judicial District Courthouse. This is coming to you from Utah, where charges are expected today to be filed against 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, the man accused of shooting and killing conservative activist Charlie Kirk. The prosecutors who are preparing to file a capital murder charge today against this Utah man say that he held a, quote, leftist ideology and may have been, quote, radicalized online before he was arrested following the shooting death of Charlie Kirk. These charges are expected to come ahead of his first court hearing, also scheduled today. That was since he was accused last week of shooting Kirk and was arrested. Kirk was a conservative activist, a controversial figure nationally, who was credited, though, at least on the Republican side, with energizing the youth movement in the Republican Party and helping Donald Trump win back the White House in 2024. He was on a college campus once again, hosting a debate open to his nationwide tour, starting at Utah Valley University, when it was last Wednesday that he was shot and killed while on stage, with hundreds of people rushing out of that outdoor event, scared, not sure what was happening, not sure if there would be more shots, but instead that single gunshot killed Charlie Kirk last week. Investigators have been piecing together evidence, including from a rifle they recovered from the scene, or excuse me, from a separate scene around the area of that Utah Valley University campus, ammunition that seemed to be engraved with anti-fascist and different messaging from meme culture, as well as some of the other information that came from family members. The report last week was that it was Tyler Robinson's own father who actually convinced him, working with a youth pastor, to turn himself in after he had gone back home about 3.5 hours away from that campus. He was not a student at that campus, we should also say. Charlie Kirk was the co-founder of Turning Point USA. He actually grew up around the Chicagoland area, but was in Arizona these days with his wife and 2 young children. That organization, a conservative youth organization, and he was speaking at that university on one of what was a regular stop for him. Many campus visits around the country, kind of relished the debate and the back and forth with many different people with many different viewpoints as well. Now, as for the charges that we could see, and again, I'll use we have a camera outside and a camera inside. This is where the Utah County Attorney General is expected to speak momentarily, just about 10 minutes or so from now. So we're standing by to wait for that. But one of the other things that we are expecting to hear today are what exactly those charges could be. The prosecutors in Utah County considering a number of different charges against 22-year-old Tyler Robinson. The most serious would be aggravated murder, and that could potentially bring the death penalty in the state of Utah if there is, in fact, conviction with that. Now, once charges are filed, Robinson is then scheduled to appear on camera for a virtual court hearing, so that will be virtual. He's been held without bail since his arrest last week, and it still remains unclear whether or not he has his own attorney. So, authorities say Robinson has not been cooperating with investigators, but they do say his family and friends have been talking, including some that say they know Robinson and said that his politics shifted to the left, and radical left at that, in recent years after he spent a lot of time in the, quote, dark corners of the internet. And that was coming from an interview that Utah Governor Spencer Cox did over the weekend. So quite a day ahead. We are going to bring things back locally here in just a moment as we get you more on another story happening today from one of our reporters out and about in the field. Some of the other things that we will follow for you, that's about a minute away, so we're going to take a short break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk and bring you much more after this break. So we'll be back in a second with more local stories here on Fox Local.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey, welcome back. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Carl Deffenbaugh rejoining you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk as we keep you in the know with what's happening today, both nationally and certainly here locally in the Milwaukee area where we're based as well. And we want to get you out to the field. Once again, our team of reporters all over the place working hard for you, especially on this Tuesday afternoon. We want to introduce you to our Abril Preciado, who joins us now live along the tracks of the Hop. And that's notable here, Abril, a pretty amazing story about a streetcar operator still in training, so not a full-fledged operator yet, and what that person did when there was a rather scary situation, jumping into action. So take it away. What is the story that you're working on for us and for our viewers today?
Yes. Hi, how's it going, Carl? Yes, and as you mentioned, it's quite a great story to work on today, and it goes perfectly with the weather as well. As you explained, this hop operator actually saved a puppy, well, not a puppy, a dog that was crossing the street around here in the Burns Common area. So right now we actually happen to be here, and we're actually at this park, which for people that are familiar with the area, you know that it's pretty calm. Many people usually come out here and walk their dogs. Very calm area. As you can see, we have a couple folks out here right now, but let me just tell you, this is exactly where the incident happened. From what we know and from what they were able to tell us during the press conference, was the fact that the owner and the 11-pound Yorkie poo were actually around here, where they kind of encountered two bigger dogs. And once again, just to kind of give you an idea of where we're at, we're near Ogden and Prospect. And from what they told us is that the little Yorkie was in a way kind of surrounded by two bigger dogs. And then that's when the hop operator, I guess, was coming from this direction, came in, stopped, and kind of interfered and was able to save the Yorkie and its owner from the two bigger dogs that kind of came. They described it a lot better than me, but that's just kind of to give you guys a little perspective of what happened. Obviously, it was something that, was really traumatizing and also very impactful. But from what we were able to see today, when they finally met after a couple of weeks that this happened, it was quite a great encounter. Both the owner and the hop operator kind of embraced each other, and we're really happy to see each other, knowing that they're both okay. Charlotte Simmons, which is the hop operator, was saying that, she kind of just went out of first instinct when this happened. And again, kind of like using some of the techniques and methods that she learned from her training to come in and save the puppy. Well, I hate to say that I'm calling it a puppy, but the dog is so small. It's a little Yorkie poo, and it's so little. It's 11 pounds, just to give you an idea. It's this sweet little calm, Yorkie poo, and was surrounded by these two bigger dogs. So I mean, what can you imagine? I feel like any person that were to see something like that would step in and try to help. So that's what she did, and she was recognized today. She was given a recognition for that, and at the same time, some funds were also donated to an organization that also focuses with providing help for service dogs as well. So it's quite a story, very moving as well, and we kind of got like a little more so of the background story with Rudy, which is the Yorkie poo, and his owner Janine, she says that she's had him for 5 years now. He's about to turn 5 actually in 2 weeks. That's something cool that she mentioned. And yeah, it's quite a fascinating story, and you guys will get to see the cute pup as well. So definitely a story to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely. It doesn't hurt when there's an adorable dog involved as well. I guess we should ask: is the dog doing okay? Was it injured at all in the confrontation, or because of Charlotte stepping in, was it all good on that front?
Yeah, so from what Janine was telling us is that the Yorkie is fine. He didn't encounter any injuries at all, and we saw him as well. He was chilling. He was there kind of monitoring everything, monitoring his surroundings. Quite a calm pup, if you ask me, really. But yes, he seemed well. She says that she's doing fine as well, and so is Rudy. So far, all good. I think it was just like the moment of panic and like maybe like worry when when that happened, but she says that he's been fine and everything seems to be flowing well. Another thing that she mentioned is the fact that, like, you know, she depends a lot on Rudy. He's pretty much like, you know, she kind of like I guess described it for folks that don't know about service dogs, but she kind of says that it's kind of like her little you know, medical I guess machine, I guess I would say, or operator in a way, because he kind of tells her like when she needs to take her medicine, or when she's not feeling well, maybe when she should take drink water or whatnot in his way. So, you know, this little pup, you know, is trained to kind of help her out on her daily needs. She says that she goes with him everywhere. So obviously it was something that an experience, a situation that really, you know, left a huge impact on her when it was happening. So the fact that he's okay and he was able to be saved meant a huge deal for her. That's why she does say that Charlotte was a hero and is a hero.
That's so cool,
for stepping in and helping.
Yeah, and, of course, any pet owner and their pet, it's a beloved, almost family-like relationship there, but you add the service aspect as well, and it's really life-saving as well. Pretty amazing. Was Charlotte changed at all? She still wants to operate the hop, knowing what possible things she'll have to jump into action here?
Yes, she's still operating the hop.
Good.
She's still there. Obviously, today, you know, she was highly recognized. She was given a huge recognition today by, with the hop, and so she's really happy. Obviously, she says that it's something that she was not expecting. She kind of stepped in. You know, she was moved by the situation, and out of first instinct, she didn't even think twice, but come in and help. And she said more so because she saw it was a little puppy, and then the owner, which is an older woman as well, that needed help, and she kind of saw how Janine, which is Rudy's owner, was kind of shaken up by the thing. So her first instinct was to help, and obviously, you know, it helped a lot that she stepped in because both are safe. And I feel like just like any other person that were to see that, I feel like would have done the same thing. So that was really nice that we were able to see. And once again, I feel like it goes to show, just like Janine mentioned during the press conference or during the reunion today, is the fact that it shows that, you know, there's good people out there and there's people that are watching, and, you know, there's heroes everywhere, like Charlotte was for her.
Yeah, that's well said. You don't have to be a superhero to be a hero to someone out there, as Charlotte was. Yeah, that's a great story, Abril. Looking forward to seeing the full piece when we have it for you later today on our newscasts, as well as checking it out here on Fox Local. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope it's a good rest of the day for you.
Yes. Thank you so much. I'll enjoy the sun.
Yeah, true. It's not a bad day to be out and about. 76 degrees out there right now in Milwaukee, and a good story as well. Since we're able to show the sun, should we show the darkness once again with our producer? Hello, Delaney. No, I'm not implying that you are the darkness. You're just back there. The lights are usually off in the control room back there.
Yeah, usually it's pretty dark back here.
Are you familiar with Yorkie Poos as a breed of dog?
I am.
Okay.
Growing up, one of my friends had one.
Oh, no
it
way.
Was so
okay.
cute. Yeah.
I kind of threw that to you, just not expecting, but okay, there you go. Anything you want to mention while we got you here? I know top of the hour, we're getting ready for a few different things out of Utah. Anything else that we're kind of tracking right now for folks watching the live desk?
Still monitoring the police presence
Yeah.
near 21st and Lapham. And that's about it.
Yeah, let's get people that camera feed, since you were doing a great job digging up some information for me while we were doing that interview with Abril right there. But if folks are just joining us, we had this for you from a different angle around 12:30 when we came on here with the Wisconsin Live Desk. But our photographer at this scene has now moved around, trying to get you a little bit of a better picture on what's happening. A large police response and investigation happening here near South 20th is kind of closest intersection for you right here is like 21st and Lapham. So to get you feeling on that south side of Milwaukee, just below Greenfield Avenue, kind of. Again, Lapham and 21st is kind of the main intersection in the area that you might recognize. We're still trying to piece together what exactly has happened. We haven't heard a lot from Milwaukee police yet, or from our own investigating into what happened. But as you can see from the response, you see that red tape up, kind of blocking off parts of the street, parts of an alley there in this south side neighborhood. A lot of different police on scene when it comes to the squad cars, the motorcycles as well. We did reach out to the Milwaukee County Medical Examiner's office. At this time, they only told our member of the assignment desk that they are aware of the situation. They have not been called to the situation. So a little bit of that is semantics, but kind of reading into it. The ME is often called to the scene when there is a death, Right now, they've been told they are aware of the situation but not called to the scene. So we don't want to interpret too much of that until we get some more information from authorities and from our own reporting, but that's kind of where we're at right now. An active scene here on the south side of Milwaukee, and one that we are certainly tracking for you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. So a few different things to watch, and then first and foremost, we are also keeping an eye on this. This is the podium out in Utah, where the Utah County Attorney General is expected to speak. Let's listen in. Formal charges expected in Charlie Kirk's death, if they're giving an update on when we might get that briefing.
Open it up to questions, and we'll try to do it as orderly as we can. So we appreciate you being here, and we appreciate your patience as you go through this process with us. We'll be right back with you.
All right, so there you go. One of the officials out there in Utah giving a little bit of a lay of who will be speaking, what's to come, as the Utah prosecutors and the Utah County Attorney General, are expected to file charges today against 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, the man accused of shooting and killing controversial conservative activist Charlie Kirk while he was speaking at an on-campus event at Utah Valley University last week. It took about just over 30 hours or so for them to find Robinson after the death, which happened just past the noon hour or so local time in Utah last Wednesday. And it was basically Thursday night, they had this person, Tyler Robinson, in custody after quite an extensive search, both for evidence, used video to track the shooter's movements from a roof into a surrounding neighborhood near the campus, and even into some woods where they say they discovered what they believe to be the murder weapon, a bolt-action rifle in this case, that included some casings and other evidence that had written messages on the bullet casings. All of this expected to be detailed when formal charges are finally placed today against Tyler Robinson. That's expected to include a capital murder charge against that Utah man. In the state of Utah, the death penalty is an option, and we'll see if that ends up being what they seek in the death of Charlie Kirk. So a couple things that we're watching there. We just got that update from an official. It was supposed to start here at 1 o'clock. Looks like they're a little bit delayed as they get everything together. So the Utah County District Attorney imminently will be stepping to that podium, but since we don't have that person yet, why don't we take a short break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We'll try to line this up for you so we can bring you the latest, the charges against the shooter accused of killing Charlie Kirk, and anything else that happens on our different feeds for you over the next few minutes here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. So quick break. We'll try to get you right back to Utah or anything else that happens after this.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey, welcome back. Carl Deffenbaugh with you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. It is 1:09. Kim Murphy will be handling the second hour live desk duties for you today once she takes over at 1:30. Of course, before that, we are hoping to bring you that update from Utah as you're getting another live look at the podium there where officials have not quite started what is expected to be a media briefing on the formal charges coming for the person accused of shooting and killing Charlie Kirk last week on the campus of Utah Valley University. So as soon as we get that, as soon as we see people moving to the podium, that is certainly something we will bring you here live on the Wisconsin Live Desk. But in the meantime, we're going to keep you updated on a few other things happening around the area. This was that shot our photojournalist is providing near the intersection of 20th and Lapham on the south side of Milwaukee. Still not totally clear what has happened. We haven't gotten much of any information from police, despite our efforts to bring that to you and working the neighborhood to try to see what we can find about what might have happened. Based on the police response, a number of squad cars, a motorcycle, and more, certainly think there is something newsworthy at this site. We are still trying to get you exactly those details, while in the meantime, we do have calls out to the Milwaukee County Medical Examiner's Office as well, which so far has only said that they are aware of the situation, but that they have not been called or responded to that area yet. Again, the area on the south side of Milwaukee of 20th and Lapham, but you can see the different officers speaking there. There were a number of different police officials there in another shot that our photojournalist brought us just moments ago. One of the other things we're tracking here comes from Capitol Hill, where you're seeing a bit of a stakeout from media, reporters hoping to get updates from different senators and members of Congress after a rather fiery session between the FBI director, Kash Patel, and Democratic senators in the Judiciary Committee. There was a hearing this morning, and we'll try to get you more on that. But as promised, the Utah briefing, it appears, is about to begin with formal charges coming against Tyler Robinson, the man accused of shooting and killing Charlie Kirk. Let's listen in live to the many people expected to speak here, including what looks like the Vice President, J.D. Vance, still in Utah.
The number of questions may be limited, however. I may cut it off. I may assist him in helping to pick the people who are asking the question. We just ask that you keep the questions to the process of what we're talking about and refrain from asking questions that speculate or get into the political dynamic of the case. For Utah County, this is a murder case, and we're trying a murder case. We're trying to keep the questions to that, but I understand that you're under pressure and have a lot of different questions, and we'll try to answer them. We're joined today by our sheriff and our prosecution team and our county commissioners. Jeff is going to be the only one speaking right now, and I'll introduce right now County Attorney Jeff Gray.
The murder of Charlie Kirk is an American tragedy. Charlie Kirk was murdered while engaging in one of our most sacred and cherished American rights, the bedrock of our democratic republic, the free exchange of ideas in a search for truth, understanding, and a more perfect union. It is also an offense against the state and to the peace and enjoyment of the people of Utah and of all those who visit here. But Charlie Kirk's murder also strikes a more personal and intimate chord. Charlie Kirk was first and foremost a husband and a father to two beautiful young children. He was a son, he was a brother, and a friend. Like all murders, the senseless and needless taking of Charlie Kirk's life has shattered the lives of those he loved and those who loved him. To Charlie's wife, Erica, his two young children, his parents, his family, and his friends, I express my sincere condolences and offer my heartfelt prayers on your behalf. I also want to express my concern for everyone who was at Charlie's Turning Point USA event at the Utah Valley University. and all who have been impacted by this tragedy. As county attorney, I am charged with bringing justice to those who offend our laws. I am charged with bringing justice for those who are harmed. I am charged with bringing justice for Charlie Kirk. I am committed to these aims. I take this responsibility seriously. Today, after reviewing the evidence that law enforcement has collected thus far, I am filing a criminal information charging Tyler James Robinson, age 22, with the following crimes. Count 1, aggravated murder, a capital offense, for intentionally or knowingly causing the death of Charlie Kirk under circumstances that created a great risk of death to others. Count 2, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, a first-degree felony. The state is further alleging aggravating factors on counts 1 and 2 because the defendant is believed to have targeted Charlie Kirk based on Charlie Kirk's political expression and did so knowing that children were present and would witness the homicide. The state is also charging defendant with count 3, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony for moving and concealing the rifle used in the shooting. Count 4, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony for disposing the clothing he wore during the shooting. Count 5, witness tampering, a third-degree felony for directing his roommate to delete his incriminating texts. Count 6, witness tampering, a third-degree felony for directing his roommate to stay silent if police questioned him. And count 7, commission of a violent offense in the presence of a child, a Class A misdemeanor, for committing homicide knowing that children were present and may have seen or heard the murder and did so based on Charlie Kirk's political expression. Also, following the press conference, I am filing a notice of intent to seek the death penalty. I do not take this decision lightly, and it is a decision I have made independently as county attorney, based solely on the available evidence and circumstances and nature of the crime. Because we are seeking the death penalty, the defendant will continue to be held without bail in the Utah County Jail. Turning to the 10-page information, these are the allegations. On September 10th, 2025, at approximately 12:23 p.m., Charlie Kirk was shot and killed while speaking to a large crowd on the campus of Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. Police found the suspected murder weapon, a bolt-action .30-06 rifle, nearby. Over the next approximately 33 hours, police conducted a manhunt for the shooter until the evening of September 11th, 2025, when Tyler James Robinson surrendered to police at the Washington County Sheriff's Office. DNA consistent with Robinson was found on the rifle's trigger. After shooting Mr. Kirk, Robinson hid the gun, discarded the clothing he wore when he fired the rifle, and told his roommate to delete incriminating text messages and not talk to police. Children were present at the time of the shooting. The shooting. Turning Point USA, a nonprofit organization founded in 2012 by Charlie Kirk, organized a public outdoor event to be held at noon on September 10th, 2025 at UVU. The event was the first in a series of similar events to be held at college campuses nationwide. Mr. Kirk is a well-known conservative activist famous for these type of events where he discusses various political issues and debates with audience members. His events and comments have garnered a significant number of supporters and drawn the ire of many who disagree with his political views. The event at UVU was announced far in advance and garnered significant publicity and interest. Consequently, several hundred people attended. Mr. Kirk was interacting with the crowd before the event officially got underway. Then, at approximately noon, Mr. Kirk seated himself under a portable canopy behind a table and microphone. He began speaking to the crowd and fielding questions from attendees, a format Mr. Kirk commonly used at his events. Mr. Kirk allowed his questioners to approach a microphone positioned directly in front of him. Mr. Kirk's team members were very close to him on his right and left, as well as some behind his canopy and others at various close locations near him. The large crowd surrounded Mr. Kirk on three sides. Temporary metal fencing separated attendees from Mr. Kirk by only a matter of feet. Directly above and behind Mr. Kirk was the UVU Hall of Flags, an indoor walkway spanning several hundred feet with floor-to-ceiling glass windows which overlooked the plaza where Mr. Kirk was seated. People were in the walkway at the time of the shooting. Approximately 15 minutes into the event, Mr. Kirk was answering a question about mass shootings by transgender individuals when a gunshot rang out. The bullet struck Mr. Kirk in the neck. He slumped to the ground almost immediately. The bullet's trajectory passed closely to several other individuals beside Mr. Kirk, including the questioner who was standing directly in front of Mr. Kirk. Children were visible near Mr. Kirk's stage when he was shot. Mr. Kirk was rushed to a nearby hospital where he was declared deceased. The medical examiner's report is still pending. So UVU surveillance. So at the moment of the shot, a UVU police officer was watching the crowd from an elevated vantage point. As soon as he heard the shot, he began to scan the area for threats. Believing the shot came from a rifle because of its sound, he looked for potential sniper positions. He noted a roof area approximately 160 yards away from Mr. Kirk as a potential shooting position and rushed there to look for evidence. The suspected shooting position is adjacent to an open, publicly accessible walkway. To access the suspected location, a person must climb over a railing and then drop to the roof only slightly below. The UV officer climbed over the railing and down onto the roof. He then walked to the suspected shooting position and confirmed a clear shooting corridor between the position and Mr. Kirk's seat. He also noticed markings in the gravel rooftop, consistent with a sniper having lain on the roof, impressions in the gravel potentially left by the elbows, knees, and feet of a person in a prone shooting position. Police reviewed surveillance from the camera covering the roof and discovered that it recorded an individual dressed in dark clothing cross the railing from the public walkway and drop onto the roof at approximately 12:15 p.m. Although the individual moved out of the camera's view for a short time, the camera again captured the individual running across the roof and then low crawling to the area the UVU officer recognized as where the suspected sniper had dropped into a prone shooting position. After a short time, which matches the known time of the shot, the individual arose and ran across the roof to the northeast. This discovery led to an intensive review of UVU surveillance recordings to attempt to track and identify the suspect. Surveillance revealed the following. At approximately 11:51 a.m., the suspect entered campus from the north. He is seen wearing a black shirt with an American flag in the center, a dark baseball cap, and large sunglasses. Throughout the surveillance, the suspect keeps his head down and rarely raises his head enough to get a clear image of his face. As he proceeds across the campus, he is seen walking with an unusual gait. The suspect walks with very little bending in his right leg, consistent with a rifle being hidden in his pants. This unusual gait continues until the suspect is seen crossing the railway off the open walkway and onto the roof, where he leaves the camera's view. A camera later captures the suspect as he runs across the roof to the suspected shooting position. Immediately after the shot was fired, a camera captures the suspect running across the roof carrying an item whose shape is consistent with a rifle. The suspect is then seen climbing down from the roof. He appears to drop the item he was carrying as he hits the ground in a controlled fall. He then picks up the item and runs toward the northeast end of campus. Expanded crime scene investigation. Law enforcement officers followed the suspect's escape path to the northeast end of campus, where they believe the suspect left campus and entered a wooded area. In that wooded area, investigators found a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a towel. The rifle contained 1 spent round and 3 unspent rounds. This is consistent with the facts officers observed at the time of and immediately after the shootings. No shell casings were found on the roof, suggesting a bolt-action rather than an auto-loading weapon, and only a single round was fired. Each round in the rifle contained an etched inscription as follows. The fired cartridge was etched, "No Tice's bulge, OWO, what's this?" The second cartridge that was again not spent, the last 3 were not spent, were not fired. The second, "Hey fascist, catch," with arrow symbols. The third cartridge, "Oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow." The fourth cartridge, "If you read this, you are gay," LMAO. The rifle, ammunition rounds, and towel were sent for forensic processing. DNA consistent with defendant was found on the trigger, other parts of the rifle, the fired cartridge casing, 2 of the 3 unfired cartridges, and the towel. Law enforcement was unable to immediately locate the shooter, so they published photos of the shooter from the UVU surveillance cameras and asked for the public's help to identify him. Meanwhile, law enforcement continued to try to identify the shooter through other means. The Washington County investigation. On the evening of September 11th, 2025, as law enforcement continued their investigation, Tyler James Robinson went to the Washington County Sheriff's Office with his parents and a family friend to turn himself in. Robinson's mother stated that the following to police. On September 11th, 2025, the day after the shooting, Robinson's mother saw the photo of the shooter in the news and thought the shooter looked like her son. Robinson's mother called her son and asked him where he was. He said he was at home sick and that he had also been at home sick on September 10th. Robinson's mother expressed concern to her husband that the suspect shooter looked like Robinson. Robinson's father agreed. Robinson's mother explained that over the last year or so, Robinson had become more political and had started to lean more to the left, becoming more pro-gay and trans rights oriented. She stated that Robinson began to date his roommate, a biological male who was transitioning genders. This resulted in several discussions with family members, but especially between Robinson and his father, who have very different political views. In one conversation before the shooting, Robinson mentioned that Charlie Kirk would be holding an event at UVU, which Robinson said was a stupid venue for the event. Robinson accused Kirk of spreading hate. Robinson's father reported that when his wife showed him the surveillance image of the suspected shooter in the news, he agreed that it looked like their son. He also believed that the rifle that police suspected the shooter used matched a rifle that was given to his son as a gift. As a result, Robinson's father contacted his son and asked him to send a photo of the rifle. Robinson did not respond. However, Robinson's father spoke on the phone with Robinson. Robinson implied that he planned to take his own life. Robinson's parents were able to convince him to meet at their home. As they discussed the situation, Robinson implied that he was the shooter and stated that he couldn't go to jail and just wanted to end it. When asked why he did it, Robinson explained there is too much evil and the guy, referring to Charlie Kirk, spreads too much hate. They talked about Robinson turning himself in and convinced Robinson to speak with a family friend who is a retired deputy sheriff. At Robinson's father's request, the family friend met with Robinson and his parents and convinced Robinson to turn himself in. The family friend spoke to police and reported telling Robinson that it would be best if he brought all evidence with him to the sheriff's office to avoid police having to search his parents' home. The friend also asked Robinson if he had any clothes that were related to what he did. Robinson replied that he had disposed of the clothes in different areas. The roommate. Police interviewed Robinson's roommate, a biological male who was involved in a romantic relationship with Robinson. The roommate told police that the roommate received messages from Robinson about the shooting, and he did provide those messages to police. On September 10th, 2025, the roommate received a text message from Robinson which said, "Drop what you're doing. Look under my keyboard." The roommate looked under the keyboard and found a note that stated, quote, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it." Police found a photograph of this note. The following text exchange then took place. After reading the note, the roommate responded, "What? You're joking, right?" Robinson, "I am still okay, my love, but am stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I am sorry to involve you." Roommate, "You weren't the one who did it, right?" Robinson, I am. I'm sorry." Roommate, "I thought they caught the person." Robinson, "No, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering." Roommate, "Why?" Robinson, "Why did I do it?" Roommate, "Yeah." Robinson, "I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it." Roommate, "How long have you been planning this?" Robinson, "A bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there is a squad car parked right by it." I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it. Robinson again. I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. IDEK if it's had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about prints. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. Didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find prints. How the F will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Remember how I was engraving bullets? The F in messages are mostly a big meme. If I see notice bulge UWU on Fox News, I might have a stroke all right. I'm going to have to leave it. That really effing sucks. Judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun does just fine, IDK. I think that was a $2K dollar scope. Wink, wink. Robinson again. Delete this exchange. Again, Robinson. My dad wants photos of the rifle. He says Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle, and it is very unique. He's calling me, RN. Not answering. Robinson. Since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA. Robinson. I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of my neighbors here is a deputy for the sheriff. Again, you are all I worry about, love. That came from Robinson. Roommate. I'm much more worried about you. Robinson. Don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make any comments. If any police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent. The search for Robinson's residence. Police executed a search warrant on Robinson's residence. During that search, police discovered a shell casing with etchings like the etchings found on the shells in the rifle near UVU. Police also found several target boards with bullet holes in Robinson's home. Now, as I stated in the beginning when I read those allegations, these are allegations. And like the evidence set forth in this statement, those allegations, what you've heard from the media, even from state and federal officials, has not been tested in the crucible of a jury trial. I understand the public's desire to know the facts. My own family members have pressed me for information. Why are we reluctant to share the details of the investigation itself and comment on the case? Because I want to ensure a fair and impartial trial. I became a prosecutor because of my love for the ideals of this great country and the principles embedded in our Constitution. The free exchange of ideas and opinions is critical to this great American experiment, but so too are the protections afforded to the accused found in the Fifth and Sixth Amendments. The right against self-incrimination, the right to a speedy and public trial, the right to the effective assistance of counsel, the right to confront one's accusers, and the right to compel the attendance of witnesses. And perhaps most importantly, under our Constitution, the accused is presumed innocent until we, the state, prove to an impartial jury of defendant's peers his guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. That jury cannot rely on our allegations, on what they hear in the news, or on what they hear from a public official. The jury is the sole trier of fact, and they will ultimately determine those facts based on evidence a trial judge has determined is admissible. Again, as prosecutors, we bear the burden to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. but make no mistake, we welcome this burden. I'd like to now introduce my trial team who will be charged with prosecuting the case. This is a veteran and expert team of some of the state's best trial attorneys. Chad Grunander, who is one of my two chief deputies, Ryan McBride and David Sturgill on the far right there. And those two were very much involved in preparing search warrants, did a phenomenal job, worked day and night to see that accomplished well after Robinson was taken into custody. Also, Lauren Hunt, she is one of our special victims prosecutors, and Chris Ballard, my second chief deputy, who will be handling motions. I'm going to explain just the procedural steps. We're not a grand jury. We don't have a grand jury system like the federal courts do. It's a preliminary hearing system. So the arrest and filing of the criminal information are merely the first steps in the criminal justice process. Today at 3 p.m., the defendant will appear before a judge in the Utah 4th District Court for his first appearance to be informed of these charges and to ensure that he has an attorney to represent him. The hearing will be brief. The judge will conduct that first appearance virtually via WebEx. This is not unusual. In the 4th District, all felony first appearances for defendants who are in custody are held virtually. A link to that hearing is available for media on the Utah State Court's X account at Utah State Courts. Now, following defendant's first appearance, he will be entitled to a preliminary hearing. At that hearing, the state will be required to show probable cause that defendant committed the crimes. The purpose of the preliminary hearing is not to determine guilt, but simply to assure the court that the prosecution has enough evidence to proceed to trial. If a judge finds probable cause and binds the case over for trial, an arraignment hearing will be held. At that hearing, a judge will again inform defendant of the charges against him and require him to enter a plea to each charge. The next step following the arraignment is an opportunity for the parties to file any relevant motions and then ultimately the trial itself. This case has generated a tremendous amount of interest across our nation and even the world. The public's desire for information is understandable, but it bears reiterating that this case will be tried in a court of law consistent with our Constitution, not the court of public opinion. Thus, we will only discuss the case with the press occasionally. It will not be a day-to-day or even week-to-week occurrence, but we will only do so in a manner as not to jeopardize the fair trial process. Before I conclude, I want to express my appreciation for the tireless work of our local, state, and federal law enforcement officers. They have an extremely difficult, dangerous, and often thankless job. I'm proud to acknowledge the exceptional work they do every day, and particularly their work on this case. It was truly a marvel to witness. Their skilled work and dedication have brought us to this point. I'm also grateful for the leadership demonstrated by Bo Mason, the Commissioner of the Utah Department of Public Safety, FBI Special Agent in Charge Rob Bowles, Utah County Sheriff Mike Smith, our local police chiefs, and Felice John Vitti, the acting U.S. Attorney for the District of Utah. I'm also grateful for the support of our Governor, Spencer Cox, and our Attorney General, Derek Brown, who is standing behind me today and has offered his support and resources as we proceed to trial. Finally, I want to thank our Utah County Commissioners, Amelia Powers Gardner, Brandon Gordon, and Skylar Beltran. They too have pledged to assist with the resources needed to successfully prosecute this case. I will now take a few questions.
For questions, ladies and gentlemen, just really fast, if you could identify yourself and what organization. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Investigation uncover any individuals that may have known about this shooting in advance?
They are still looking into it. It's an undergoing investigation.
So is that a possibility?
They haven't ruled that out.
Ed Lavendera with CNN. The text message that you exchanged with the roommate, can you kind of give us a sense of, did that happen over several hours? Did it happen before?
I don't have that information.
Emily Anderson, Stern, the Solid Tribune. I know, acknowledging that you made this decision to pursue the death penalty independently, did you hear it all from the Trump administration or Governor Cox's administration as you were working on these charges?
I talked to officials from both administrations, but I was not pressured to make a decision. I understood their feelings on it because it was in the news, but we didn't really discuss that.
Mr. Gray, the FBI director.
Do you have any indication that transgender issues played a role in the motivations for this shooter?
I'm going to stick to what I just stated in my public, in our information. I think that is pretty much set forth there.
Mr. Gray, Ben Winslow, FOX6 News. Just asking, are you planning to file additional charges against anyone else in connection with this?
Again, we don't have any information at this point of additional suspects, but I know that our law enforcement agencies are continuing to follow leads.
Mr. Gray, the FBI director today said that you are, quote, or that other people, a number of people are being investigated and interrogated. So it seems that there are people who might be up for possible.
Yeah, I'm not.
Do you think the suspect was a lone wolf, or could this be part of a...
I can't comment on that. I'm not aware of all their investigation. I just know that these agencies are continuing to investigate this case and follow all leads.
Jenna Tilby with BBC News.
Would like to know, how does this possibly interface with any federal charges?
That's up to the feds. They have different charges, and they're reviewing the evidence. And after they review the evidence and the law, they could file charges, but I'm not privy to exactly what they're looking at.
Dennis Helfig with the BBC. You spoke a lot about text messages with the roommate. The governor previously said the roommate is cooperating, but could we see charges against the roommate?
Again, I'm not prepared to answer that question.
Mr. Gray, is it unusual to cite a political motivation as an aggravating circumstance?
It's part of our code, and so we charge that.
Mr. Gray, Jim Schumacher with KUTV. For those that aren't of a legal mind, is this a confession, the text messages? Is that legally a confession? And is he cooperating since he's been taken into custody?
Ultimately, a judge will determine that at trial.
And cooperation, has he spoken at all? Has he been cooperating since he's turned to...
Again, I'm not going to comment on that.
Has he made any statements at all?
Mr. Gray, Morgan Chesney, NBC News.
Okay.
What more can you tell us about the suspect's time online that some say radicalized him?
I am not aware of that information. It's, again, still under investigation.
And has he expressed any remorse so far about this attack?
I am not going to comment on that.
Is he continuing to not cooperate?
I am not going to comment on that.
Mr. Gray, the FBI director has been way out in front in terms of presenting evidence to the public. Your team has been very circumspect, very measured in what they let out. Has that hampered your investigation and the build-up to this?
Well, as attorneys, we typically like to control that information to preserve an impartial jury and a fair trial.
So has it made a differentiation?
Ex- Excuse me? I don't have that information.
Can you tell us more about what the family may have said in interviews?
Um,
His mother.
What the family said is what I provided.
Mr. Gray, do you anticipate that the defense will try to get this trial moved out of Utah County, and how will you respond to that?
That from where?
From Utah County.
That the defense will be from Utah County?
That they will try to get the trial moved to a different location.
I couldn't predict what they're going to do.
Is there any evidence to suggest that the timing of the shot and the question that was asked about mass shootings transgender, is that more than coincidence?
That will be for a jury to decide.
Mr. Gray, are you confident that the roommate
Again, I'm not going to comment on the evidence.
But the evidence so far, does it show any involvement?
Again, I'm not going to comment on other than the facts that or the evidence that we've gathered so far.
Does the mention of the DNA here in the press conference jeopardize his right to a fair trial?
I don't believe so. This is part of a public document that we have to file as we file a criminal information. We have to file a probable cause statement.
Thanks for joining us on the second hour of the Wisconsin Live Desk. This is Kim Murphy, and you're listening to charges now formally announced against Tyler Robinson. He is the man who is now accused of killing Charlie Kirk last week on September 10th. He has now been charged with manslaughter, which means that he could face the death penalty. We also just learned that in about 10 minutes or so, Tyler Robinson is expected to make his initial court appearance where he will formally hear the charges, be informed of his rights, bail will be set, and this is the first step as this case moves forward. You've been listening to the attorney, Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray, explain the investigation, where it stands, and the basis of this going now to the initial court appearance. We're going to take a quick break, reset, and when we come back, we will run down everything that you just heard over the last half hour. But charges have now been filed against the man who is now facing charges for the murder of Charlie Kirk. You're watching the Wisconsin Live Desk.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Before we get back to what's happening out west, charges have now been announced against Tyler Robinson in the Charlie Kirk murder. We are following, we just lost that picture. We're following breaking news from Milwaukee's south side. This is near 20th and Lapham. We know that police presence has gathered there. We do have our Abril Preciado on scene. We're waiting for an update shortly on what is happening here. But again, a large police presence has gathered around 20th and Lapham. And as soon as we get that picture restored, we're going to go back to that. But the news of this hour is what is happening in the Charlie Kirk assassination. We do now know that charges have been officially filed in Kirk's assassination. This is a look at the suspect, Tyler Robinson. He is now charged with manslaughter, which means he could face the death penalty. We heard from the Utah County Attorney, Jeff Gray, breaking down, taking us step by step on how these charges were arrived at, the information. These are allegations, and you could tell by the lead up before reading what we call the criminal complaint, the weightiness of this case. It is well understood that there are political implications to this, but you heard from Attorney Gray that this case will be prosecuted according to the letter of the law and that politics will not figure into anything in this case, has not figured into the investigation of Charlie Kirk, who was gunned down in September 10th in front of students in a public assembly. So what we know is that the suspect is 22 years old. He is Tyler Robinson. He is now charged with felony of discharge of a firearm, punishable by up to life in prison, obstructing justice, punishable by up to 15 years in prison, and he is set to appear on camera for a virtual court hearing any minute now. 2 o'clock is what we're hearing. This is going to happen. And so during this initial appearance, this is in the criminal, in a criminal case. What happens after the arrest is that the defendant has their first court appearance. The judge then informs them of the charges, their rights, and sets or denies bail. We can pretty much figure that bail is going to be denied here. And so this will be the first time that we get to see Tyler Robinson. He will be appearing virtually for this. What we also got were details of what prosecutors are alleging. Sharing text messages, a string of text messages between Tyler Robinson and his roommates, saying that you are all I worry about, talking about a weapon, a rifle that is very unique, that belonged to his grandfather, and that his grandfather and now his father were asking questions about the location of that rifle. One of, I believe its father, then tries to call Tyler Robinson. He says, I'm ignoring this. This is the exchange that prosecutors are alleging that happened. They also go on to say that Tyler Robinson then instructed his roommate to erase the text exchange. So a lot of information that we learned from that. Again, as soon as we see Robinson appear virtually, we will take that to you. But we also heard about some of the physical evidence that the state now says that it has collected. So just a lot more detail in the investigation and how we got here, but a lot of information revealed in the alleged text messages between the roommate and Tyler Robinson, where he says, I'm going to be a little late. I'm in Orem. It's going to take me a little longer. The gun, the rifle, it's wrapped up in a towel. I have to go back and get it. Again, all these things the prosecution is alleging. So, we are seeing now this situation that is developing on Milwaukee's south side. It looks like we are about to get a briefing any moment now. We also see Waukesha on the scene there. Not really sure what their involvement is here, but I'm going to bring up the sound for you. And as soon as this takes place, we'll let you know that it's definitely Milwaukee Police, the command staff on scene there. You see the mobile command unit also there. We know that this started within the last hour or so. Again, we broke our crews. Abril Preciado was working on another story, actually, and we got information that something was going down near 20th and Lapham. This now is the staging area near Arrow and Cornstalk, as Milwaukee's police department, their mobile command center is there a ways back. So we're just waiting for some information on exactly what is going on here. So 2 breaking news stories are happening. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. Milwaukee Police. This is a breaking news situation that we're bringing to you here from the Wisconsin Live Desk and also on air. Southside, this started near 20th and Lapham. As we get more information, we're going to bring it to you here. Let's listen in live.
I'm Assistant Chief Nicole Waldner, WALDNER, of the Criminal Investigation Bureau. Today at approximately 10:58 a.m., the Milwaukee Police Department was dispatched to a call in the 1500 block of South 20th Street to check the welfare of an individual that was walking in and out of the street. Upon arrival, while checking the area, an officer struck the individual that was lying in the entrance of the alley with his squad car. The individual, an unidentified adult, was transported to a hospital and was pronounced deceased by medical staff. The officer involved is a 44-year-old male with over 18 years of service. He will be placed on administrative duty, as is our routine and protocol in officer-involved incidents. The Milwaukee Area Investigative Team will be investigating this incident. The Waukesha Police Department is the lead agency. This is fluid and ongoing and very early in the investigation. Video of this incident will be released in accordance with our standard operating procedure 575. I will take a couple questions, but I'm going to be honest that at this time that very little is known until there's further investigation.
So the person, was it a woman then?
We're going to wait till we can get, we don't have an identified person yet. We need to get an identity and do next of kin. So I'm going to refrain from giving any of that information until we are able to do that.
And the location of the squad that we saw right by the street here on 20th, is that where it happened then, inside the alley, just west of the sidewalk?
Okay, now you're going to do directions on me, Nick. It was right, it's the approach of the alley. Okay, does that clear that up? Okay.
Yeah.
It's the mouth of the alley, in other words.
So
okay.
Basically, as the officer turned in, the person
right,
was right there.
Right, not as you're in the alley, you're at the approach. Okay. Correct.
So was the officer going down the alley this way or going into the alley?
No, well, the video will be released within 48 hours. You'll see it. I'm just going to refrain from everything else that are parts of the investigation at this time.
Do we know if the person was under the influence or anything?
I don't know that, and we won't know that for some time.
Okay, that's enough. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And you've just been listening to a brief update that we just received from the Milwaukee Police Department there. An incident that started around this morning, around 10:58. Police were responding to a report of a person walking in and out of traffic. Police were checking the area when a squad was entering an alley and a person was lying at the entrance, the mouth of that alley. The squad ran over that person. The person was taken to the hospital where the person was pronounced dead. We know the officer involved in this, 44 years old with 18 years of experience on the scene, or 18 years of service, I should say, with the Milwaukee Police Department. We've been told that within 48 hours, the dash cam video of this critical incident will be released to the public. But right now, all we can tell you is that this incident began with a call for service to South 20th Street. A little bit before 11 this morning, police were called to the area for reports of someone walking in and out of the street. Police were investigating the area, driving around the area, looking for that person. A squad was entering the alley. A person was lying on the ground, and that is when the squad ran over the person. The person was taken to the hospital where the person was later pronounced dead. We have a crew there. You can see we are moving to get closer to the scene, but this is something that is happening right now. Waukesha Police Department, we did identify a unit on scene. That is because the Waukesha Police Department is now the lead agency in investigating this critical incident. Whenever there is an incident involving a Milwaukee police officer, there is an outside agency that is assigned to investigate the circumstances of what exactly happened. And so that is what is happening here. But if you're joining us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, we are following two big stories. The one is happening in Utah, where the suspect, Tyler Robinson, in the Charlie Kirk assassination is set to make his initial court appearance at 2 o'clock our time. But while we're monitoring that situation, and as soon as it happens, we are bringing you live to what is happening here in Milwaukee, and that is police now, Milwaukee police involved in a situation involving a pedestrian. You heard there from Nicole Waldner with the Milwaukee Police Department give a brief statement about what we know so far about this incident involving a 44-year-old Milwaukee police officer with 18 years of experience on the department's on the force. So I'm just going to take a picture here. We're not going to take the audio because this is a story that is developing. An interview is about to happen, and so we're going to let Abril Preciado work this story as she gets more information. We don't want to take it live, the audio, because we're not really sure what that person is saying. This is just an eyewitness account here, but what we can tell you is that you can see that this is an incident that has brought an entire neighborhood out. The initial call was for someone who was walking in and out of traffic. This was around 10:58 this morning near South 20th Street. An officer was checking the area, attempted to enter an alleyway. That's when that squad ran over a person who was lying on the ground there. We're going to just listen to a little bit of the audio here, but if necessary, we're going to take it, we'll pot it down if it's not suitable for air.
People can just be walking down the street and they're getting harassed by the police for no reason.
So then pretty much what you're explaining to me is that you constantly just see, or if you could explain to me, you see like the police?
Just in general, the police are always parked, like they'll park right across the street from my house and they stop people. Oh, they'll start searching people. Like once or twice they'll come on my porch and be like, what are you ladies doing today? Me and my sister be sitting on the porch and we'll be like, we're not doing nothing, we're sitting on our porch. Are you sure you live here? So we got to prove that we live there because they're constantly harassing us. The police in this area, they park right there, they park over there, or they'll park right there, and then they go split up and then they're harassing everybody. That's what I told them. They be doing police chase. The other day they had 5 police cars. One police car almost hit my stepmother's car because they're going, and that's the day when they almost hit the little kid. The police do around here. This is a child neighborhood. As you can see, there's bikes, there's kids all up and down this area. The police cannot be coming down here doing high-speed chases because it's uncalled for. They can hit somebody.
Now, regarding today, were you able to see anything happen?
Well, okay, I did see earlier, but it's not related to this incident. I did see.
So we're listening to someone who lives in the area saying, we don't know if there was no mention in that briefing by police, the speed of the squad at that time. So nothing was mentioned about this being a high-speed chase, so we can't confirm. It does not appear that this was a high-speed chase from what we've learned from police. Police say that they were called about a person who was in and out of traffic. They were investigating. They were driving around the area. The squad was entering an alleyway. A person was lying on the ground, and the squad ran over that person. The person was immediately transported to a hospital where the person died from their injuries, and that is all the information police released at this time. We can tell you that the Waukesha Police Department is now the lead agency in this, which is the custom when there is any critical incident involving Milwaukee police. An outside agency will be assigned to do the investigation. No police cam video will be released today. They have 48 hours to do so. So let's listen a little bit more into what this person was saying. She just stepped away, but she mentioned police, a presence, being in that neighborhood often. She talked about high-speed chases. That is not believed to be the case here. At least that's not what was relayed to the media in that news conference that you just heard. We know that the officer involved, 44 years old, and has 18 years of experience there. But this is something that is very, has shaken a neighborhood for this to happen, for someone to die in their neighborhood. Apparently that person was lying on the ground. Why that person was lying on the ground, if there was some kind of medical condition, we do not know. And again, these interviews are happening right now in real time. So we'll listen, but if things get a little dicey and not suitable for air, we're gonna cut the audio, but let's listen.
Vaya como que no vaya a golpear a alguien, tú me entiendes, que lo haga en algo, tú sabes,
con más precaución.
Precaución porque.
And so you hear our Abril Preciado speaking she's bilingual and in conducting that interview in Spanish as we get more information on this. But if you are just joining us, very brief information that we get from the Milwaukee Police Department, from Nicole Waldner, the police chief, not on scene for this. We don't know if we will be hearing from the police chief anytime soon, but what we can tell you is that a person is dead after a critical incident involving a Milwaukee police squad. This began a little bit before 11 this afternoon. Police were called to the area for a person walking in and out of traffic. During that investigation, a squad then entered an alleyway nearby. There was a person on the ground. The squad ran over the person. That person received serious life-threatening injuries, sustained serious life-threatening injuries, and then was taken to the hospital where the person was pronounced dead. Right now, we don't have any information on the age of that person, why the person was in the middle of the alleyway, nothing about that person. All we know is that this is a critical incident that is now being investigated by the Waukesha Police Department. I'm going to come to myself here full. And Delaney, if you can get a moment to get Abril's attention and let her know we'd like to come to her and just find out what she's hearing on the scene. And when she's ready, we will go to her. But if you're just, again, tuning in, this is breaking news that is happening. And if you see my eyes kind of darting around, it's because we're also following news on the national front. The suspect in the Charlie Kirk assassination is expected to make his initial appearance remotely. He will be at a remote location via Zoom, will make his court appearance, and that's where he will hear the charges against him. And one of those charges, he could face the death penalty. So as soon as we get Abril, we're going to jump back in with her. But we thank you for joining us on the Wisconsin Live Desk. This is breaking news. An officer with a lot of experience. We've talked a lot lately about the recruitment efforts of Milwaukee Police to get officers on the force. And so you have a veteran here, 18 years of service with the Milwaukee Police Department involved in this situation, 44 years old, who is now on administrative duty, which is standard procedure when there is any kind of critical incident. This happened on Milwaukee's South Side. The interview that you heard that was happening live from a resident who says that police presence is nothing out of the ordinary for this neighborhood, and that they often see police chases going up and down the streets. This was not a police chase. This is not what Milwaukee Police indicated. They said there was a call for service, that someone was walking in and out of traffic. They were responding. They were canvassing the area, trying to find that person who might themselves need help, when a squad entered an alleyway, and in that alleyway there was a person lying on the ground, and that person was run over. The person was transported to the hospital with life-threatening injuries, and the person did die from those injuries. And so we're waiting to get more information, hopefully before our news time, on exactly who that person is, if it was a man, a woman, if it's someone who was known to the area, to the neighborhood. We don't know. If that person was in the alleyway on the ground because that person was suffering from a medical emergency, all questions that we do not have answers for. So our picture has gone down for a second, so we're going to take a quick moment to try to get in touch with Abril, and we'll be back right after this. You're watching the Wisconsin Live Desk.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. We are following breaking news from Milwaukee's South Side, where a person has died after being hit by a Milwaukee squad car. Police were in the area, called to the area around 10:58 this morning, South 20th Street, for reports of a person walking in and out of traffic. A squad was canvassing the area looking for that person who might need assistance. A person was lying on the ground in an alleyway at the mouth of the alley. The squad ran over that person. The person was then immediately transferred to a hospital where the person died from their injuries. We know the officer is 44 years old with 18 years of experience, 18 years of service on MPD. Right now, Waukesha Police will lead the investigation, which is customary that an outside agency take over the investigation when there is a critical incident involving Milwaukee Police. We heard from Milwaukee PD's Assistant Chief Nicole Waldner, giving us just the very basics of what happened here, saying that this is fluid and ongoing and very early in the investigation. We hope to get police dash cam video within the next 48 hours, but at this time, police say very little is known until there is more investigation. So the person with the woman, we're going to wait till we can get more information. So trying to, looking at the transcript here of exactly what the assistant chief said, but this happened in an alleyway at the mouth of the alley, in the assistant police chief's words, saying that the officer turned in right there and you're in the alley, you're at the approach connected to the alley, and just say that the person was on the ground at the time of this accident. So we don't know the age of the person who was involved in the accident. If this is the same person who in fact was walking in and out of traffic, we don't know, but we do know that police were in the area. We did hear from someone who, Abril Preciado, who was on the scene, interviewed live, and we do caution when we do take these interviews, we do want to hop in with context. This person saying that police chases are very common. Police did not indicate that this was a police chase. This was a welfare call, a response to find out if someone needed service. So we want to correct that. That you heard live here. The Milwaukee Police Area Investigative Team is investigating this incident. The Waukesha Police Department is the lead. Again, we cannot stress that this is a fluid situation involving the Milwaukee Police Department that began around 11 o'clock this morning, South 20th Street. We are following developments as I'm scanning the matrix here for any minute now. We do expect Tyler Robinson, the suspect in the Charlie Kirk shooting, to appear virtually for his initial hearing. He faces a multitude of charges, and so let's bring that up. Charges that also could mean that he could face the death penalty. This is a story that we are following nationally, and so if there's news that happens nationally or locally, we bring it to you here on the Live Desk. But what we can tell you about Tyler Robinson is that he is accused of assassinating Charlie Kirk at the university, the Utah University. The charges means that he could face the death penalty if convicted of killing Kirk at Utah Valley University, which is in Orem. That's about 40 miles south of Salt Lake City. We heard from the Utah County Attorney, Jeff Gray, going down the information step by step of what has been gathered so far, what the prosecution in the criminal complaint, what investigators allege what happened. He gave us a timeline of what investigators say they have uncovered. Investigators have spoken to Robinson's family. They carried out a search warrant of his home. And they're saying that there was a text chain between Robinson and his roommate, and that before the shooting, Robinson wrote in a note that he had an opportunity to take out Kirk and was going to do so. This is according to the FBI, and this is according to what now are in the investigative documents. The FBI is also looking at anyone and everyone that may have been involved in a gaming chat room who may have had a heads up that this was going to happen. But investigators are working on finding a motive for the attack, which right now they don't have a motive, but they are saying that they have found physical evidence they believe links Robinson to the assassination. And again, we heard from the Utah County Attorney General stressing that the accused is presumed innocent. They are presumed innocent, and that the person does have a right to confront their accusers, and that the state is aware that this is, quite frankly, a case that has a lot of eyes on it. And there's a lot of information that has been shared in this case. There's a lot of rhetoric, political back and forth on this case. And so the attorney there for the state making it clear that they intend and have from the very beginning followed this by the letter of the law. Following the evidence, they say where it leads. They spoke about, again, the text messaging, talking about Charlie Kirk, talking about a rifle, which was very distinctive according to this text message chain. Also saying that Robinson urged his roommate to delete the text message chain, saying that his grandfather's rifle was missing and that his grandfather wanted it to be accounted for and was asking for pictures of the rifle, which, according to the state, Robinson admits in this text chain that he didn't have, that it's wrapped up, and he was going to try to find it. So there's a lot of information that we learned here that we did not have before. We're going to take a break on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We'll be back right after this.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back, and you are taking a live look at the outside of the courtroom in Utah, where the suspect in the Charlie Kirk assassination is expected to appear. I said 2 o'clock. Actually, it's 3 o'clock Central Time, our time. They said 3 o'clock, and I went East Coast. It's 3 o'clock our time, and so you can watch that on Live Now. But also, we want to take you overseas, and this is where President Donald Trump has just arrived in London at Stansted Airport to begin a second state visit to the UK. He is traveling. Marco Rubio, already there, has arrived, and so We are keeping an eye on that, as we are also keeping an eye on things that are happening closer to home. We know that King Charles III is set to host the U.S. President and First Lady Melania Trump at Windsor Castle for 2 days of events. The red carpet is being rolled out. There will be a banquet Tuesday and Wednesday, tonight and Wednesday. President Trump is the first U.S. president to be invited for a second UK state visit. His first was in 2019. There are also protests that are happening ahead of that gathering at Windsor. A group of protesters chanting, "Say it loud, say it clear," that President Trump is not welcomed here. So this is going to be another complex visit from the president. As with state visits, there are also going to be a lot of pageantry. Preparations have been underway in Windsor for the president's state visit. The First Lady also accompanying him there. And they're going to be talking about tariffs. Of course, there's a proposed deal to eliminate tariffs on UK steel exports to the U.S. So that's one of the things. Tariffs of 25% are currently in place for steel exports to the U.S., and that makes up about 6% of all UK's steel exports. So the president's, there's going to be some business here. This is not just two leaders meeting for the circumstances of it or the pageantry of it. There is also a lot to be discussed business-wise. So we do thank you for joining us here on the Live Desk as we close things out. Be sure to stay with us. Join us for Fox 6 News at 4 on air, where we're going to have the latest on the situation from the south side, where a person has died after being run over by a MPD squad car. This happened as a service call, started around 10:58 South 20th Street. Police were responding to a call of a person weaving in and out of traffic. Police were canvassing that area when a squad entering an alley ran over a person who was lying on the ground. So we're following that. And in about 32 minutes, we are going to get the first glimpse of Tyler Robinson, who is accused of assassinating Charlie Kirk. He will appear in a courtroom via video conference to hear the charges that he faces, a host of charges, including tampering with a witness, but the most serious charge could carry the death penalty for him. So we will have updates on both of those stories beginning on Fox 6 News at 4. We'll have it at 5. We'll also have 6, 9, and 10. We thank you for joining us on the Wisconsin Live Desk. If it's happening live anywhere, it's happening here.
Well, hey there. Hello. It's a Sunday night. So what's you say we talk some Packers football? We'll talk some sports in the world of the Milwaukee sports scene. You don't see Lily's out tonight. She gets a little mini bye, right? You know?
It's just like the Packers get rested up for next week with Cleveland.
Charging back next week for sure. Brandon Cruz is here. I'm Tim Van Born. We're glad that you're here as well. We could go either way on this. Let's talk about the Packers because it's a Sunday night. We're going to talk about the playoff clinching Brewers as well. A lot going on around here and a lot of it good stuff. Green Bay, good stuff for sure at 2-0. And the biggest thing is the Packers have not done anything to shoot themselves in the foot so far. That starts with the quarterback.
It does. And Jordan Love, again, plays a game mistake-free in their win Thursday night over the Washington Commanders. And once again, he comes out and he looks poised. I mean, he looks in control. He looks different than he has in the last couple years as a starter. And I think it's just an air of confidence, and he's delivering on the field as well. He hasn't been one to make a lot of mistakes anyway, but there's a difference with him this year, and that showed on Thursday night. Even when things weren't going great, he had a couple of backup linemen in front of him, and he was still able to deliver the ball when he needed to, and he was just very decisive in what he wanted to do. And I think that's exactly what the Packers and Matt LaFleur are looking for every time he gets the ball, because if he is hesitant at all, that's when we've seen mistakes in the past.
Being around the team, it seems like there's sort of a collective confidence and almost relaxation going into things here, and that may be playing itself out in the performance of somebody like Love. Doesn't feel he has to do everything right now. They obviously have things working on both sides of the ball. You see Love running here. That was a nice little run. Josh Jacobs, a couple of nice little runs as well.
Yeah, and Josh Jacobs, the one thing that we've watched so far in the first 2 games is he's not getting a lot of yards per carry right now. He's having to really grind to do it, but he seems to be very excited to do it, and we see him get into the end zone every week. So, 10 straight games now with a touchdown, which is a great feat for any running back, and especially for Josh Jacobs. And he seems to be relishing in his role. No, we haven't seen a 100-yard game. We haven't seen, a 30-yard run or anything yet from him, but he's been consistent. He wants the ball, and he's been able to keep the defenses honest because he keeps carrying the ball and moving forward, which allows either the play action to work or even just the passing game to be a lot more effective.
You like the all white? Before we go any further.
Yeah, I do. I think it's an impressive look. You still love the classic green and gold, but that all white was a very nice effect. I think maybe you use it though a little later in the season.
Well, the winter warming comes later in the season, but you get people who will actually wear white in the decent weather. So, I'm not sure what they're going for.
And it was a gold package game, too, to have that for them, I think, really kind of brought some energy to them. And Matt LaFleur talked about how great that crowd was. That was the first thing he said when he came in to talk after the game, how great this Milwaukee crowd or the gold package crowd was. And he had never remembered seeing and hearing and feeling that from that group of people.
They've got 2 good games this year on the gold package. The other one is a Monday nighter against the Eagles, so attractive matchups for sure. Tucker Kraft is winning most of his matchups right now through the early going from that tight end spot. A little more Luke Musgrave with him in this game, as we talked about, Brandon, the 2 tight end formation. That was effective. But Kraft is the main man in any formation from that spot.
Well, he's really becoming Love's favorite target. He had 6 catches, 124 yards, a touchdown. This one goes for 57 yards. And, when you see that happen, they started that drive on their own 4-yard line. But that 57-yard pass was huge. And then it just opens everything up because you have to account for him, and then other guys end up getting the opportunity. We saw Romeo Doubs get a touchdown. So I think what you see with Tucker Kraft is what he delivers every day, be it at practice, be it in the locker room, or be it game day. It's this energy, and it's his ability to just really own a defense and find ways to get open and find ways to help out his quarterback.
One guy who's not going to be available now for, 6 weeks, 2 months, Jaden Reed, who made a sensational catch for what would have been a touchdown. The play was ruled out because of a penalty, and he was down and hurt on the play. And Jaden Reed, who's battled injuries and inability to stay on the field, contrasting to his effectiveness when he's out there, this is a loss in my mind.
Oh, for sure. He's probably gone 6 to 8 weeks. You have a broken clavicle, and when that happens, you just feel for the guy. He'd really been snake bitten all through camp. He hadn't been healthy. He gets out there for the last 2 games, and this is on that first series where they don't end up scoring and they lose him. I think, what you see is the group, the room, trying to lift him up by playing well, but knowing they lost a key player there. So with him being gone, I think we go back to what Tucker Kraft means. He's going to see more targets again because of Reed being out, and I also think it's another opportunity for Matthew Golden, who we saw get those opportunities with Reed being out of training camp.
You mentioned Golden. He was in there for punt returns, obviously. Reed was also in there for punt returns. Won't be now for a while. Keyshawn Nixon actually took a punt return as well. But in this game, Keyshawn Nixon was much more of a defensive back, of a cornerback, and boy, he was on the ball.
I wouldn't be surprised if Jaden Daniels was still thinking about him tonight as we're talking about this, because he was involved in every single play headed his way. He had 5 pass breakups. He just really dominated the receivers there, and he was a shutdown corner, something he says he wanted to do. He wants to be the number 1 corner on this team, and on Thursday night he clearly was, and there was hands down, if Washington was trying to move the ball, they needed to shift off of him because he wasn't letting anything by. And what I really like about this is his attitude, his confidence. When he was talking after the game, he said, "You all are just seeing what I know I can do every single day." And he proved it on the field Thursday, and I think they expect him to be doing that for the rest of the season.
Says it with a little smirk, too.
He does.
He says a little smirk. Small sample size, couple of weeks now, but Jair Alexander's not been able to get out of the tracks with the Baltimore Ravens, just if you're monitoring that cornerback situation as it kind of reflects back on the Packers. You talked about Jaden Daniels, and there was a lot of pressure on him. It's Micah Parsons, it's Rashawn Gary, it's Kingsley Enagbari, it's Devontae Wyatt. You could go down the list. A lot of guys had a hand in this.
Yeah, they had 4 sacks, but he was constantly on the run, and he had no time in the pocket. And that's what this line brings, especially now with the addition of Micah Parsons. I mean, when he's not able to get to the quarterback, like you mentioned, all those other guys have been able to. Edgerrin Cooper had a really big game because of all this this week. And what you're seeing is this filter on back. It has a ripple effect. The linebackers are able to play a lot better, a lot tighter. The cornerbacks are getting plays to them